Well, we're getting closer. We've got our window, we've got our grid. Now we want to add a goat. To do that, we need to use that embedded resource. We need to pull the picture file out of the resources that have been added to this project and make it into something we can show on the screen. That's a two-part process. We're going to create an image. That's the name that Avalenia gives to objects that can have pictures in them. And we're going to create a picture. Avalenia calls those bitmaps. We're going to turn that picture file into a bitmap and show it in an image that's displayed in the grid. So to do that, we're going to begin by adding this code. Now, you might want to pause the video here, and I'll blow this up so that you can type all this in. Bitmap get bitmap string resource name. This is a method that's going to create a bitmap for us. Below that, I'm using some code that might be a bit cryptic. We'll get into this in more detail later, but line 32 is where I get access to the resource we embedded. This is how I'm going to read the actual picture file, and I do it at line 34. 32 gives me access, and line 34 actually reads the file. Don't worry about understanding all of this today. Just type it in exactly the way you see it, and you can put your faith in the fact that this method will, in fact, create a bitmap out of that picture file. Now, you'll see that there are some complaints. There's a little red squiggly line here under Assembly, and so to fix that, you move your cursor over to Quick Fix. Choose the first option using System Reflection, and the red complaint goes away. There's another complaint line here at Embedded File Provider. Do the same thing. Float your cursor over it, and when you see the window pop up with Quick Fix, move your cursor to Quick Fix and pick the first choice there as well, using Microsoft Extensions.File Providers, and all the complaints go away, and this method's ready to go. Now, to use it, the first thing we'll want to do is, after we create the grid, create the bitmap. So we need a variable of type bitmap to hold a reference to it. We'll call this goat left. And we'll use the get bitmap method we just created. We're going to use the same name as our embedded resource. To remind ourselves what it is, we'll look here. There it is, goatleft.png. That's the name of our picture file. So we'll type that exact same name in here. Keep your eye on the capital letters. And now we'll make an image using it. We store the bitmap in the source property of the image. Remember, the bitmap is in an object that we created at line 29, and we kept a reference to that object in a variable called goat left. Now, we haven't added the image to the grid yet, but we have put the bitmap in the image. So now we put the image in the grid, and the grid's already in the window. Remember, I said a lot of these things are like those nested Russian dolls. You've got a window containing a grid, which contains an image, which contains a bitmap. So we put the bitmap in the image. Let's put the image in the grid. To do that, we have to tell the image where in a grid it would go. So we say image.setValue. Then we tell it what kind of value we're setting. In this case, it's a grid column value. Oops, need a capital G. It's a grid dot column property. Remember, we start at 0, and so I want to be on the right-hand side. There are 9 squares, so I'm going to put it in column number 8. That's the rightmost one. Now we told the image where to put itself in the grid. Now we'll actually add it to the grid. Say grid.children.add the image. See if it works. Terrific. Okay, in the next step, we'll make the goat move when we click on it.